Okay, people. So today I'm joined by Alexander Justin Gonzales, and we are going to be talking about his new film, Mean Boys. Alexander, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries, man. No worries at all. So, yeah, you've got a new film, right?
Yeah, super excited about it. It's a coming of age. It's a bisexual love triangle thriller in the vein of Jawbreaker meets Heather's, dark comedy, and it's a lot of fun. Definitely
Mm,
a roller
mm.
coaster.
Where did the idea like for this come from?
So the idea was I grew up on swim team growing up a lot of my life, and I was always the outcast as a teenager on swim team, and I always and looked up to these popular jocks who were in school, and they were all out and bisexual and just deviants in school who were like praised in my high school, and I always wanted to be like them. And even since I was younger, I'd see my sister and all my friends who would look up to these like gods, these jocks at school, and I always wanted to be like them. So part of it was their thing in combination of my favorite films kind of coming to life and molding together. And in addition, we also this film touches about drug use and fentanyl addiction. So it is a very kind of heavy film, but it has light heart comedy in it as well. But it is also a cautionary tale.
Mm, yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was interesting, it's especially at the end, right? I think
Mm.
the end definitely caught me off because I wasn't expecting it to go where it goes. Like, was that always the fault to take it to this next place?
Yeah, I feel like when you are watching queer films in modern time, there is this level of, the stereotype, the trope of, oh, we're just coming out. But in this story, it's these characters are already out, right? There is no
Mm,
struggling of coming out. They're calculated, they know everything that they want to say and do, and they're manipulating all of their um, choices to get what they can from each other to hide this murder. And then the drug use is based around people I knew growing up who um, unfortunately lost their lives due to fentanyl. So at the end, I did want to have an idea of being in a sober living or in a in a rehab facility, and it being this complex fever dream, right? It's like, is this a fever dream or is it not? So it is this level of what is really going on. I've always been inspired by like Fight Club and really incredible films like
mm.
Memento, where you're retracing what actually happened. So I kind of leave it up to the viewer to distinguish what happened because he looks through the photos. I don't know if I should give it away, but um, yeah, we leave it very open ended for a reason in this film.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting one because even, with everything that he's looking through, there's still like you can still take the story either way, essentially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, was there always, because with so much going on, it's about finding that balance, right? So, how did you kind of work out, what I mean, like who to have on screen? Because we have all of these different characters. So, trying to give everyone their own space, their time, what I mean? Just developing all those different relationships. How was that aspect of things for you?
So it was an interesting production. We shot it as a pilot originally in 2021, and then when we were pitching it, there was this level of I always had it as a movie, but I didn't really find the budget to shoot it as a feature originally. So we were like, but the goal for me was to always make it into a movie.
Mm,
Um, and so to bring back some of the cast, we'd been working together for a few years, and we had months and months of rehearsals trying to really develop these Sorry for the honking in the background, LA
No, 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 no.
traffic. But yeah, so I think between all of the rehearsals and getting to know these characters really, really well, I had a really great team of actors and a great a bunch of producers who were on it, who all kind of helped us together to mold how modern and close these characters were to each other. We definitely wanted them to seem like they have all been intimate with each other, that they all have secrets that they're hiding, but are still super close. So that was interesting to make them be able to have that perfect, relationship of really knowing each other really well.
Mm, mm. Right. So, what did you? What was the extra stuff that you shot, kind of thing? Like, how much was this the original, and then how much did you have to go back and kind of add in?
That's a great question. So when we basically shot the first half, I would say prior, right? And then the second half was when we came back in and rediscovered what the rest of the story that we wanted to originally tell, we came back and told. So yeah, it was, we had a few years in between it, right? Which of shooting it, which was very interesting to come back and reshoot years later, and you see these people change in real life and how people change in 2 years, right? And
Mm,
is your cast still going to be the same? Are they still going to want to come back? Or there's this whole level of, are people still interested in something once they've already done it? And so that was also an interesting point to come into it. But we were so lucky to get our leads back and be able to have the story still told and how we wanted to tell it. So that was super exciting to bring back Ira and Duke and these characters who are pivotal for the story. So we were excited that they were able to come back.
yeah, I mean, that is yeah, a lot can definitely change, and I think depending on the age of people,
Mm-hmm.
you can see, like, if you are dealing with little kids,
Oof.
yo,
Yeah, it
that
would have
two
been done. It would
years,
have been
you know
done.
what I
Yeah.
mean? So, like, people grow inches and get, facial hair, and just so much can change. But I think you probably hit it at a point where everyone's kind of settling into their body essentially. You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
but what were the kind of things that you had to account for? And what were those conversations like to get people to come back? Right? Because I think initially, you say everyone probably assumed this is proof of concept for a series or something, right?
100%.
So, how did you, you know what I mean,
Oh,
get
it was tricky.
into?
It was very tricky. It was a lot of you know, political conversations, with budget and timing and where are people in their careers, who's working, who's not working, who's available, right? So we had other
Mm,
actors who were like, I'm already on set. I'm on other projects. Unfortunately, I'm tied up, right? So that was one where, you lose some of your cast based on, they're working actors. We're really lucky to know that they're working. And I'm like, well, there's one. Then the other aspect is, how are we going to change the script based on certain things? Like, one of my main actors is a bodybuilder in real life. So imagine his entire body. He's like this skinny little thing in the beginning, and now he's huge. So then we're like, oh my gosh, we have to account to this in the writing. So that kind of changed aspects of the writing, right? And you're like, oh, okay, now he's
right.
a bodybuilder. He's massive. Like, he's competing like and huge arenas bodybuilding. So it's like, then we're like, okay, how are we gonna put that in? Um, and then we were so lucky with our lead, Ira. His in real life's name's Ryan Wayne. He stayed the same, which we were just like so golden lucky for that. And to this day, I'm
Mm,
like, gosh, that it made the film, right? Like, we were so lucky to be able to have that consistency. And his character was so silent and calculated and just so. Um, we wanted him to, this level of horror to really be based around like um, silence, right? There's something in lingering stares, half sentences that are just that you never know what he's going to say and do, but he's always watching. And it's the modern day story of queerness that you see in 2025, where there is this level of social media that is always um present and watching. There's stalkers online. And he just does his performance was so raw and just silent, but yet so intense, and we loved it. So yeah, love Ryan Wayne.
Yeah, so I'd imagine Duke was your bodybuilder,
He
right?
is 100%.
Yeah,
I'm sure you
yeah.
saw the weight change in it. We were like, God, now he's this huge muscle dude, and we were like, okay. And we were like, we could use fentanyl and steroids, and mind you, that was already in the script, right? So we got really lucky that we were like, well, let's see if we can add in this line, right, or tweak things to kind of make it also be about it. But yeah, overall, it was a very fun project to be a part of, and I'm so happy for my directorial debut to be able to showcase something that I really think speaks to modern queer storytelling today.
Yeah, I mean, what is queer storytelling? Like,
Exactly.
what? I mean, what would you say it is? Because I don't know. For me, a story's a story, right? So it doesn't really matter the sex, the gender. If it's a good story, it's a good story.
Oh, I agree. I guess um, for the big marketing queer stories, you generally see these stereotypes. You see these
Mm,
tropes of I'm struggling coming out, right? And that was something that when me and my producers, Roger and Lindsay, we sat down and we were like, there is no way we are going to have that. We were like, we will not tell this, oh, poor me, I'm having a hard time coming out. Like it's so played out. It has been done 100 times through. It's so boring. It's that
yes.
or it's like soft core pornographic, right? There's
Yep.
something that's always, oh, they have to have sex and it becomes this whole, you know, level of soft pornography. And it was like, I don't want that either, right? Like we cannot share that story because it's been done 100 times. So when we thought it out, we were like, this is really the story we want to tell, and it's of how we experienced growing up, and especially in today's culture. So that was something that I was excited to put into the film, because if I have to see one more coming out story, it's like, you know, it's insane.
It is a bit like how many times do we need to see Batman and Spider-Man's origin? Right? Like we know what happened.
Yeah. Like we're not blind. Yeah. It's like we're not necessarily completely like we see it, we hear it, we know what it is. Like
Yeah.
but
And I think especially because there's so many different, like it's not the same, right? But
mhm,
it's shown as it's the same thing for every single person. You know, it's kind of like a lot of the gay people we see on TV are very stereotypical, you know? So
mhm,
it was kind of refreshing to have these characters just be these characters rather than some, like, you know what I mean? The gay character that you see in a film as a sidekick and like all the time kind of thing, you know?
mhm. And it was also nice because we wanted to touch base, especially like in LA. There's a lot of muscle gays, right? I mean, really all over the world. There's all these muscle
Yeah.
gays, and when you see it portrayed on TV, they're not always muscle gays who are mean, right? But a lot of the times in West Hollywood, where I live, that's the whole thing. There's a lot of relatively mean muscle gays, and I grew
Mm,
up around a lot of those people, and I was like, you know what? This is never represented on TV. I don't understand how we're not showing any of these big jocks and muscular types of men who are very masculine, who are not these effeminate, you know,
yeah.
fairy looking queer people. I was like, we want to show almost the opposite. And I was like, in this, like, they're already out, they're already like, experimenting with their sexuality and they're very promiscuous. Like, we want to show that because that is true to a lot of, how modern gay, lifestyles are. And you never see it on camera. It's always some like very effeminate, I'm, you know, gay sidekick
Mm-hmm.
friend. So that was another approach that we took.
Mm. Yeah. No, I think it's good because, you know, as I said, there's all types of people,
Yeah.
right? And everyone always talks about, oh, I don't see myself on TV, but then we're only showing a certain type of person, a stereotype when it comes to sexuality and race and all of these different things. So it gets a little bizarre sometimes, you know.
That's,
But you're crafting all of these characters and everything like that. So when you had Gina and Stacy, what was the thought about those characters?
Gina and Stacy were people in the world who are battling for love, and they're battling against each other also in the cheer team. And we didn't fully dive into that much into the film about it, but they have we wrote it as a series as well, right? Like, so we have endless arcs and backstory with these characters, but they are competing for Julian's love, right? And for Brent. So she's dating Brent, who's like the head of the football team, Gina, who that is her main boyfriend, but she really uses him as a pawn, really, because they both want Julian, who is, of course, who dies halfway through the film, and spoiler alert. Yeah. And so when we crafted that relationship, we wanted this catty, really vicious circle of what it is to be a teenage girl in high school who is competing in with popularity, and who does have, a crush on somebody who's bisexual, who leads the school, who's a jock, right? And so she never can tie him down. And there is this competitiveness with competing in modern day, you know, keeping up with not only like sexual urges and things like that, but also trying to, there was a lot of mean things we say about like people's weight and people's thing. It's very harsh, right? But that is the reality of when I was in school, what it was like being a millennial. We were like, kids were mean. If you were overweight, like there was no, it wasn't sweet. Like in today's culture, everyone's like, oh, we're going to be nice about everything. I was like, no, I wanted to be exactly how I was. And the girls were mean, everybody was mean.
Yeah.
If you were popular, it was very, that's why it's called Mean Boys, right? It's like it's about these group of mean boys. And everyone in it in the world is pretty vicious. Like, and that's part of how you protect yourself when you're a teenager and you're insecure. You're pretty mean. And we really wanted that to show on screen.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that's changed? Right? There's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
because everyone's PC and they're sweet these days, and everyone and it's a little bit more thought out. Mind you, these characters aren't just one thing, right? They're not just one note where, oh, we're all just mean, but there is in the writing so much subtext that's going on in everything they say. And um that was something we really wanted to play with those characters. Because there is
yeah.
almost something sapphic also between Gina and Stacy underneath it all. So that was also there, a touch, right? Because in this world, it's everyone is exploring sexuality, and we didn't want to leave that relationship out. So you can tell there are moments in the script where it's like, is there something more here that's going on? So maybe you'll see that in this, hopefully in the film.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think people want to give off the impression that they're all accepting, but I think everyone's still the same. I think kids are kids, right? And everyone is gonna say things about, but now it's just a little bit, right? You'll create a dummy account where you'll flame someone rather than use your own to
Yeah.
say things. You know what I mean? It's just masked differently. But so I think everyone can probably relate to this because it's just in the nature of things, you know.
Yeah, 1,000%. I'm sure when you were a teenager, that was probably even it's similar as well, right? And kids are, like you said, kids. It's
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't, you know, it hasn't really changed. It's just, you know, now people have all of these different platforms in which they can do things rather than it's just in the playground. And you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, you're talking shit on your private chat not the public chat. And it's things like that, you know?
Yeah, you can hide it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very hidden these days, right? I can't even imagine having a phone the way that we really wanted to show how social media affects so much of what we see and know. And growing up, I never had a phone, right? But this
Mm.
story wasn't told in the early 2000s, right? So it's this level of like I didn't have a phone until I was like 15. And these kids, they're in high school, had the phone, know how to work it a million times, every social media, you name it. So that was also modern day queer. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like we have to incorporate this level. So learned a lot from my friends who are Gen Alpha, who were like, oh, the Riz and all these different little things of what to say. And, but mind you, we didn't add it too much of that because it is still
Yeah.
written very millennial, but you still have to be aware
Mm.
because so much is moving in social media. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so it's Gen Alpha now. Is that
Gen
what?
Alpha, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot
I
of
lose track of all of that shit.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But they're on this level. I was like, okay, yeah. So I'm learning new words every day. I'm like, okay, here we go. This is. I just found out what Riz was. It's charisma. You have Riz. I was like, okay, who has Riz today? And I was like, huh, okay.
I know, like you go certain places. Like I've been doing some kind of gig work, and everyone's talking, dropping certain terms, and you're just like, what the fuck are they
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Right? Like, people are crashing out, like everything's calm. I'm like, yo, what's going on here? And then you just have to pick it up and be like, oh, right, they're saying this. Oh, they mean that, right? Okay.
Good to know. Okay.
With all of that, what, like, because Ira is kind of, a little stalky, you know what I mean? But it's just like having him like film and take photos is probably an easier way of showing it than just surfing the web and looking at profiles and all of that kind of thing. But so when you were thinking about that side and what's available to Ira, was it the choice to kind of show it in a certain way because it reads a little bit more interestingly?
So upon him and how he filmed and how he wanted it to be done, I personally knew people who like Ira, and I and myself kind of am the outsider like Ira. And when I would do it, I would always see friends, and at the time we didn't have these nice, like super nice phones at the time. Like we were barely, and so we would use camcorders and we would use microphones. Like back in the day, like you see him with his microphone on, he's over here like, oh man, I'm gonna record you with everything you say. Like it really was like that. So we'd have the binoculars. He always like has his binoculars out. Like it's one of those things where that is how. So even though it's kind of dated, and it shows level of stalking because it's kind of you'd expect him to just have his phone out recording the whole time, which he does as well, but a lot of it is also old school. I'm have my camcorder out, I have my recorder out, and I'm listening because I'm not gonna lie, I used to be that person. I used to be similar to Ira, and I'd want to be with all the cool kids, and I'd leave the little microphones out around like the God, what is it, all the like lockers and certain kids, and I'd want to be them so bad, and I just wasn't them, and it was what but yeah, so that it was kind of an homage to that. And yeah, so it's a blend of millennial outcasts meets modern day. But in the
Right.
filmmaking specifically, our DP, we had David Cunningham and Jessica Gallant, both incredible directors of photography and cinematographers, and the camera angle a lot was shot on Voigtlandier 70s lenses, so it's a very voyeuristic approach in
Mm.
general when you watch the film, which we were very lucky. I wanted that vibe because I thought the style and approach of it felt more intimate. It kind of felt like you really are, watching from their perspective. There's something that when you get really modern day cameras and you're using RE Alexas and specific reds, like part of this was shot on a red as well, but not too much of it. It was the combination of all of that that we really wanted to show for the style, because a lot of the times when you use these, 6K gorgeous cameras, you kind of lose um, the aesthetic a little bit,
Yeah.
and it just becomes very modern, and which is, mind you, can be great for certain films, but for this one, we're stalking, we're in this intense story. We really wanted it to feel kind of dated, and also like, you're inside of the lens a little bit.
Right. Yes. I definitely feel that we did get that. That there was oftentimes we are at a distance.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? We're arm's length from these people. So we're kind of looking in. It's that kind of aesthetics. So
We
yeah, I
wanted
think
it to linger a while as well. There was moments in the filmmaking when we would all sit and talk, and we were like, we want scenes to be uncomfortable. We're not here to give you something comfortable. We're not here to say, oh, this is the cookie cutter ending. We don't want you to know what's going to happen next. And we want the camera to linger on situations where we're like very uncomfortable. So hopefully that translated in the film.
Yeah, no, there was definitely times with, like when Stacy and Gina are talking, that we're kind of with them longer than we maybe want to be, kind of thing. And certain interactions where we're like with people and we're kind of watching Ira do things and we're seeing all of this stuff. And it's just like, like, should we
Yeah.
be here?
Yeah, it's that level of horror where it's silent, and modern day horror, it's a bloodbath, right? It's killing after blood after action, and we
Mm,
wanted to show more of a silent horror where there is the horror is in the unknowing and sitting in this disgusting, like, mental place of what it is to really feel that and be a stalker and feel so unwanted. And then we also touch on mental illness throughout the film so much with, you know, he's on Suprexa, which is an antipsychotic. He is on, you know, on Lexapro and on all these different things. So he's struggling already trying to work on his mental health, but it ain't work. It's just not working. So
yeah.
that's another level of what we bring into it.
Mm. Well, I thought it was interesting his interpretation of what happens in the bedroom, because I don't know if I would call it what he's calling it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah, we show you in every bedroom scene is very intimate, but you'd think it'd be really sexual. And even though we do have some sexual moments in there in the bedroom, it's very just calculation. It's manipulation. You see the inside depths of what they're really thinking, how he's, bringing up his mood board of, of killing, and we're like, "Oh my god, is he killing all these people?" And
Mm.
all these levels of trying to fit in and be this outsider, but yet he is planned and manipulated, and everyone kind of has that, right? Like, there's moments with Brent and Stacy where they're fighting and he catches her with the fentanyl, and he's like, we thought we did this together, right? And it's like, if you've ever met anybody who's used and has had a problem, this is always one of those conversations that happen. And I really wanted to use that in the film because it's we want to see that, at least in the writing. I, as the filmmaker, I really wanted to see that. I was like, this is something that is so real and honest. I've seen with so many friends who've lost their lives is, you know they share these problems with their significant other or their parents, and but then they start hiding and using even more, in their privacy. That's like,
Mm.
there's a private moment of using where we see these characters are having problems, and they're not just doing it in groups anymore. Now it is a private thing of, we all have our own struggle with that. So
Yeah. Well, it's one of those weird things, right? That it kind of bleeds across every single thing. So it's just like whatever it is, there's gonna be a point where the other person does it more,
mm-hmm.
right? Does it behind the other person's back, right? If we both had a book and we'd be like, yo, look, Alexander, let's read this book together. And we'd be like, all right, we'll meet up on a Tuesday and we'll read. There's gonna be a point where one of us is just like, I mean, what's that? Yeah, I'll read the next chapter. It won't be, there's no harm in that, right? And then you find out, and it's just like, what the fuck? We were meant to read it. You know, like it's just, I feel it's human nature that one person, you know what I mean, will go further than someone else, right? Which leads to the issues, you know, and we
Yeah.
see that here.
Also, so many levels of betrayal in this, right? There's endless betrayal. Like, you think that somebody would never backstab the other, but that was really what it was like being in school for me. Like,
Mm,
endless betrayal back and forth. Like, from since I was a kid, you would see, like, since you're in like middle school, right? It starts, I mean, even probably in elementary school, it starts at such a young age. And we really wanted to highlight that in this film is, your closest friends can be your enemies.
oh,
100%. They can stab you
yeah.
in the back a million times through because they know everything about you. So there is this level of, we really wanted that honesty shown. Your closest friends can be your biggest enemies at all times. Your boyfriend, your girlfriend, like anybody who you're with, forget about it. Like that. You got to watch your back.
Yes.
Which is a horror in and of itself. You're like, wow, my closest friends are turning on me. Like, and it's my boyfriend, my girlfriend. Oh my god. Um,
Mm. Well, there is, I think, when you're younger, morality is fluid. You know what I mean? It's just like you you can go to anyone and you'd be like, who's your best friend? And they'd be like, oh, this person. And you go to them a month later, that might not be their best friend anymore, right? It could be someone else, right? It's like crushes, they will change. You know, sometimes it's like people are like, oh, I really like this person. And then you find out that actually someone else might like you and that person, so then your crush will change, right? Because you think, well, I've got more of a chance, so maybe I just crush on that person instead of that, but right, so it's everything is so fluid, right? So I feel that was you know what I mean, I think that was handled well because it is like that, right? We see that all the time.
I'm happy that that came across. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So being young is a minefield.
Tough. I would never do it again. I'd be like, oh no, I don't want to go back to school. School was taught hard. College was hard. Like it's very hard to navigate that when
Yeah.
you're in school. Ugh. I had, I was overweight. I was like almost 300 pounds, like 5'8", in school, and was just very bullied. And I loved anime, and I loved like all the sort of like nerdy like things that
Mm,
you wouldn't expect. And uh, it was, and mind you, I'm still trying to experiment with like smoking and drinking and all the things that you do when you're in school. Drugs, right? You name it. Everybody was doing it. Anybody who's cool, they're doing it all. So I wanted to touch, on that as well. And you see all these seedy people's lives as well, right? You see their parents. You see a lot of, right, like Julian's dad, who's his, how he's kind of sexual with him, and it's his stepdad, and he's a drunk, and
yeah.
he's the one person that we can still go and get. Um, so we see little sneak peeks of why these characters are like they are, or why they are who they are, um, in their home lives. There are more characters we wish we could have, in the series, we would dive deeper into all of their lives, but most of the actors knew where their backstory was, and they knew what it was before, so they really brought it in. I have to say, we were so lucky to work with a team of such talented actors, and um, we had so many people working on it the whole time for months before, and just to really refine it. We really wanted it
Mm,
to be a level of camp, but not too camp. Like I'm hugely inspired by Ryan Murphy and John Waters and um, David Lynch, but I mean he's not too camp, but still like these
yeah.
really kind of heightened directors. So we were trying to get that level across.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely a tightrope with these things, trying to get it so it feels real and not like, you know what I mean?
To out of
Yeah.
the out of
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah, that I think that's the thing. And we do kind of get that with this. When you were like just planning all of this out, like for you, what were the benefits between TV series and film?
I'm sorry, what was the benefit between?
Yeah, when you were trying to look at which way should we go, what did you see as the benefits of being a film, and what were the benefits of being a TV series for you?
That's a great question. I think for the film, I really love doing narrative films. I've made other features outside of this. So for me, I really wanted to storytell in segments that, in longer segments in one story, just to make make the story, a little longer in a
Mm,
narrative form, but also have this grandiose ending. And there was something about, and what I did like about the pilot, which was really nice when we shot it, is it does leave everything on a cliffhanger. You're
yeah.
left in these open ended moments. You're left wanting way more, and it makes you want to watch another episode, which is always exciting about TV, right? They leave you, whether it be an hour or 30 minutes or 20 minutes, they leave you with this level of, oh my gosh, what is next. But what I love about feature films is the journey that it takes you on. You then
Mm,
are like, oh, after a certain amount of time, we're going to keep watching, and we get it, right? We get the entire journey in this roller coaster of, oh my gosh, this happened, right? Like, you see the craziest middle of the film when you're like, I can't believe, did he kill these people? Like, what went on? And we leave it very open ended, right? Because of course at the end we want you to realize, like, it's up to you to kind of decide. And as the filmmaker, I know what it is, but it's like, I don't want to like give it away, right? Is there's
yeah.
this level of, what do we want it to be open ended to for people to perceive that on their own. It's not like, this is a film that we don't give it to you. We're not going to say, this is the answer, this is what happened, you saw the movie and you know what it is. Like, this is definitely one of those films where we want you to think about it, leave you thinking, what did I just watch? What does this make me feel at the end? Like, are these teen killers? Like, is this a like, what went on? um,
Mm,
which is kind of what it feels like to be a misfit and in school and growing up, and you get in trouble. It's always like, I don't know where I was left, you know.
yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes everything is open-ended. You know what I mean? Like a friendship, a relationship could end and you never really find out why. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So sometimes there's that, right?
definitely. It's definitely like, oof. Yeah, I have so many friendships and relationships when I was in school that I wish could have, but people leave, people just don't want to be your friend. It's like, what did I do, what did I say? So many
Mm,
crushes in school when you're like, gosh, I can't believe, I had so many crushes on people who would just never be into me. And I was very Ira in the back, being like, oh my God, I'm going to go to this party. I got invited to this party. And then you show up and everyone ignores you, or they give you the wrong address. It was very me. I would show up and be given the wrong address all the
yeah.
time. Like, they did it to me again. Like, how could they? So mean. But I'm falling for it in the middle of the night, like begging my parents to drive me there in the middle of the night. Like, come on, drive me there at 10 o'clock. And they're in the car waiting for 30 minutes up the street. Like, so sad. And they're like, Justin, no one's here. It's like,
Oh no.
that's so sad. Alex, yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. It's but I think it is all character building. It all kind of helps form you into the person that you become, right?
Definitely builds character for sure.
Yeah. Uh, so, at what point was the pilot going to kind of end?
So we pitched it around, and at the time we had some bites from different people, but making TV is so hard because you need such a large amount of money, and this was
Mm,
done with SAG-AFTRA. So there was this level of getting it to be under a certain contract, making sure we had money for insurance, and really finding the money to do TV. You know, we were a 10 episode series, and we still are. And mind you, we would still love for it to be a series. But there's this level of acquiring a certain amount of money that can be really tough. And so, you know, sometimes you get certain bites, but they're never the right amount of money, or it's not enough. And so that's kind of the struggle that I fell into as the filmmaker, was how am I going to acquire these millions of dollars, right? And it's like it can be really tough to find a certain sort of budget. But as far as making films, I was able to, you know, find the budget to finish it out. So I said, you know what, maybe we turn this, which is, mind you, what I always kind of wanted, right? I make feature films, so it was like, this has always been my dream. But my other team of producers, like, we want this to be a TV show, and we had already written it out. We were like, you know what, and so we were like, you know what, let's see. So we tried the
Yes.
pilot, and we pitched. We had some offers, nothing that was large enough to finance what we needed for the budget. So that's why we're like, you know what, let's make it into a movie.
Right, right. Now, when, you know, there's 10 episodes is a
It's a
longer
lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
series right now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, how much extra stuff were you kind of conceiving? And would the series end where the film ends?
No, absolutely not. No. It has it plays a twist into it, but we have, you know, 3 seasons deep of this show, and they're each 10 episodes. So like,
Right.
it's insane what happens in Mean Boys. We go into jail, where they're in jail, where they get caught. We go in season 2. We go into season 1, where we dive in. It's very Skins, where we dive into everybody's lives, which then shows the progress of this murder.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so we show you all the different aspects of where the show kind of goes, and it's very high school. So we go into like, it's, have you ever seen the movie or the TV show Popular with Ryan Murphy back
Yeah.
in the day?
Yeah.
So it's a very high school driven show of like catty, mean kids.
Mm.
It's very in the vein of that for the first season. And so, you know, it's teachers, high school life, all the side characters, all, you know, like, so that is very the first season, but also mixed in with murder. And it's just way darker, but still has that campy fun aspect that we love from Popular. So
Okay. All right. So when you go, all right, we're not going to get the budget to do a TV series, so let's do a film.
yeah.
But doing a film, you know what I mean? Like, technically, you can still continue the story, right? There could be a sequel,
Oh, for
or
sure.
just, you know what I mean? A continuation in something that's not quite a sequel, but it's in the same universe. So, is there that thought of maybe continuing a story in that way?
For sure. I mean, I definitely leave so many films open ended for a reason, just because I really do think there is so many ways to keep adding to it, right? There's
Mm.
like some, you know, people always say, did Julian die? Right? And like, he died of this overdose. But, you know, in typical camp aesthetic, and what I like to do in films is, you think they died until they come back, right? And then you're like, suddenly they're back, and you're like, wait, they didn't die? I thought I saw them die, right? It's like, we only heard about it, we didn't really see it. But then even if we did see it, you know, the unspoken happens. So I definitely think about making a sequel for sure. And because there's so much that was left open ended, where certain characters didn't come back because honestly they were working on other projects.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, in a dream world, you know, maybe, you know, later down the road they won't be, and they do come back, and we're older adults at this point, and they're, you know, and we see that the struggle is still happening, right? And you still have the same stalker who never moves on, or different stereotypes. Maybe he does move, you know, like, there's so many levels of what can happen. But yeah, I definitely do think about making a sequel, and we've definitely talked about it. We've written some stuff for sure. We always write, but we've got it for.
Okay.
I have sequels for almost all my movies. Some may say it's a little crazy, but I'm like, oh, I love a 2. You know, when it says the name 2, and then it'll be like the da 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 with this, right? The Confessions, like there's Freeway 2, Confessions of a Trick Baby. You know, it's like, oh, of course. You know, like love it.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I think there is that thing, right, where you get older, but you're kind of the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if you're the stalker, a lot of times you're gonna stay the
Say the
stalker.
stalker. Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? But you just do it differently now. You know, so
Exactly.
there is that aspect of things.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that is, you nailed it. You got it right where it is from what the second is. Ira
Mm,
never really changes fully, for sure. He's definitely still looking, still there with his microphone and
yeah.
recording.
I thought because at the beginning when we get the kind of Ira doing the voiceover, to then be like to what Ira does and is, there is that slight difference. I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the voiceover Ira is slightly different from the Ira where we end up?
Oh, for sure, for sure. I think the voiceover is more of his narrative in his head, his subconscious, and he's a little
Mm,
bit in the beginning more hesitant. He hasn't fully jumped full in yet. He hasn't been accepted. He hasn't been initiated. He's always just the outsider, and he's very meek, and he's still he's never gotten that taste of what it is to be in their world fully until he does, right? There's
yeah.
always that. Then he gets put in, then he's initiated, then he has sex with them, and then they're like, we don't care that we had sex with you, you're nothing. It's like dancing. And it's like, which is so how it is. Like when you lose your virginity or you're in school, you hear all these people and you think you're so special because you're like, oh my God, I had this intimate, cute moment. And they're like, that meant nothing. Like you're
Yeah.
one of 100 people. Like, are you kidding me? Like you're nothing. And it's like, uh, so that was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, especially if you've never actually had that conversation, right? So if you haven't said, "Hey, are we gonna hook up, right? This is gonna mean something. This is gonna be this. This is gonna be, you know what I mean? We're connecting on this level." If you've not had talked to them about what it is, but in your head you're like, well, it's this, it's that, and blah blah blah. Like, how the fuck do you know what they think it's gonna be? So
Yeah.
it's just like when they actually do, you know what I mean, draw that line on what it is to them, right?
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
like,
like, wait, what?
yeah, like oh my God, yeah. There was so many. I mean, I grew up with people who were very promiscuous, and you're on a sport team where everyone's wet in the water. Are you kidding? Like everyone is, they all see every little thing, and they talk about every detail, and it's like oh my gosh, like, and it would just, and I remember just always just jaw on the floor, and I was like,
Mm,
handing towels out, being like, "Oh my God, I couldn't be on the swim team. They wouldn't let me. They were like, "You're overweight. You're not going to be on the swim team. You could never compete." I was handing out waters, towels. Hey you guys, here's a towel. Here's the water. I have to
mm,
stop the meter with the timer. The time's this.
mm.
Like so sad. Like just, and so when I did it, that was kind of the perspective when writing it. Is I was like, that was me. Like I was Ira, but imagine like not some skinny like twink boy, like a big boy who's still gay but could never be in that world. And I would just fantasize about what it would be like to be them. um
Mm.
and these like slutty kids on swim team and cheer team and football, just the cool kids of school, and their rich lives and these lives that they lead, and some are poor and some are rich, but you get this combination of how everything exists and together, and just based on like sports and sexuality and the fluidness of what it is to be a teenager in school and an athlete.
Yeah. Well, like emotions are transactional, you know what I mean? Like that's the big thing.
Mm,
Everything is for a price to get something, to leverage something. And
mm.
yeah, that's what we see, which is interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm so happy that you watched the film and that you enjoyed it. It was you never know. It's always one of those things when you make a film, you're like, it's very subjective, art's subjective, so it's one of those things you just kind of say, hope for the best. I hope what we made was something that people could relate to or have some form of you know it's I you know,
Mm,
you never expect what people will tell you. So I've made films in the
yes.
past and you're like, oh wow, this is what you saw. Okay, good to know. Yeah. Yeah, people see things you as the filmmaker will never see, so it's always interesting to hear people's thoughts.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. I mean, like, what has your journey been like to this point? From when you first started in what, like 2015, I think, was that?
Mhm. I started producing I made my first feature in 2015. Yeah, and it's been a journey to see. I had one awesome distributor who we worked with that we really loved, and then things kind of went wild with the business side of things. With money and where the rights were and where this one and things were tied up with
Mm,
the attorney, and there's always a political business side of the art.
yeah.
And as you get older, you learn more of, what you want it to be, how you want it to be, and where you want your films to kind of move in the direction of what you want to tell and share with the world. And with this one as my directorial feature debut, I was like, I want to share something that is so universal that I feel like people will really connect with. And for me, it was being in high school, being this outsider. And I think there's a piece of us in all of us that is a misfit, that is an outsider, that we can all look in and see the people who we wanted to be like or emulate. And that is something for me that I hope people were able to connect to, because even if you're like you think you're the most popular person or the hottest, you have a big ego or whatever, there's still somebody that you look up to and that you
Oh, for
emulate, that
sure.
you want to be like. um,
Yeah, yeah. Like you have, those rich people with yachts, but then, a lot of their friends have super yachts, right? And they're the schmuck with just the big yacht, right?
yeah.
So it's just like, oh man, when we gonna make an extra bill so we can get a super yacht? I want to be like Steve, right? So you can, what I mean? I think there's everyone, as you said, has got something that they want, they're aspiring to, right? They want to be into a group which they can't be in for whatever reason.
Yeah, no, that is something that we were like, this is what is we can all relate to, and no matter who you are, whether even if you're whatever age you are, we all have that person, that group, that we all have aspirations and we want to be like, we're all reaching for something, um, whether in career, whether in social dynamics, like we all have dreams and aspirations.
Mm,
So yeah, that was definitely something we wanted to touch on.
yeah, yeah. I mean, how much do you think your voice has changed from like 2015 to this point?
Oh God, so much. I feel like now it's not as filtered. I think in the past I thought more about in certain ways about how I would want it to be perceived, or what I thought, it was but then I realized, I said, if I keep filtering myself so much, I'm not really being authentic to myself and the
Mm,
integrity of the art I'm pushing out, right? If you're filtering everything based on money, or like trying to attain a certain distributor or get a certain bite, or what up, like for the industry, you realize that it's like, yeah, but I'm not getting fulfilled. I personally, as an artist and a filmmaker, a writer, I am not sharing what needs to be shared. At least personally, that's how I felt
mm,
in making my film. So for me, as my directorial debut, I was like, this has to be it, because it's the closest to who I actually am and what I've experienced, which is, I think, honest.
yeah, yeah. No, for real. I think there's a thing being, right? Even if you filter yourself, there's going to be people that be like, that was too much. That was this. That was that. Right. You're never going to please everyone. So why try? Just be you, do your thing, because there's going to be people that gravitate to it, that understand the vision, that will be like, that's exactly how it was for me. Right. Or I know that experience. I've seen that. I've been there. So that you just do you, man.
Yeah, I think in other films that we've made, there's always a level of sharing certain vulnerability with what you do. But I think as time has progressed with other films, I've I've learned to just be a little bit more unfiltered. I think is what I would say.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, what is storytelling for you? Where do you want to take this?
That's a very great question. Storytelling is, I think, for me, it's definitely an art form that is um, once again subjective. But personally, I think when I tell stories, I tell my business is called COA, right? It's coming of age. So I tell a lot of things of me coming to age, of what I've
Mm,
personally experienced in combination of what I know from people in other people's lives, right? Who I know their lives, or we're friends, or we're this. And so a lot of the stories I tell are based on kind of real life situations and people who I do personally know, and it is more coming of age, whether it be youth, because I'm relatively young, right? It is about those sort of stories. So a lot of the times I'm not telling a story of two elderly people in a nursing home, right? Like that isn't something because I haven't lived that. Like what
yeah.
would I share of that? Like it would just be so inauthentic. Um, so I'm not going to tell a Western, right? I'm not living in a ranch in a Western time. Hey, you got, like I want to tell something that I personally usually have experienced. So for me, it's coming of ages. It is something that is coming of age or something I've experienced. So yeah, as far as my storytelling, that is kind of the direction I'm going. I like high school dramas, of course. I love killings and drama and drug abuse and things I personally know about.
Mm,
Um, and mental illness, right? Like I bring up all the ideas of what it is to grow up with whether you're a neurodivergent, or you are you have depression, or you have anxiety. Like I try to evoke that in a lot of the characters because it's stuff that I've personally battled with on my own. So I try to bring that into a lot of my storytelling.
right. Yeah. I mean, I get that. That makes sense. But with all these different genres, you know what I mean? Like coming of age can be in anything,
Yeah,
right?
it is very vast.
Mm. So are there things that you kind of feel, I think I've got like a comedy in me, or a thriller,
We're
like
doing comedy this September. We're shooting another film with me and my producers, and it's about filmmaking. It is about being a filmmaker, trying
okay.
to set the world, set your story on there, and how just you know tough it can be and how silly it is. And it is a comedy of making a film and being in the festival circuit and doing the rounds of trying to be a successful filmmaker. So that's
Mm,
one we're telling. We have others about a rap star that we're telling, about a rapper that we're shooting next year, and you know these rap stars who run into a murder with somebody. And so it's like that was kind of based around somebody who we know. So it's like this coming of age stories. But yeah, there's comedy. It's also drama filled, campy combination.
okay. Right. So there's a few things
Things
to
on
look
the
forward
horizon for
to.
sure.
Uh-huh. All right. Um, Now, it sounds like you're not going to make a Western. Is there any other kind of things that you probably won't dip your toe into at this point, let's say?
um I think doing a lot of intense sci-fi. I love sci-fi work. I am a huge fan of David Cronenberg, but like that sort of thing is so daunting for me as a filmmaker because it's just the opposite. Like big action pack films love them, but I know that it's like that's not really my form of storytelling. Like
Right,
I think they're
right.
great to see, but I'm not the next Marvel maker. Like I'm not the next big. Oh, you see me making these action films. It'd be like, oh, interesting. You know, yeah, he's making a war film. I'd be like, okay, he's making a war film. That's shocking, right? Like a historical drama. Like I don't know. I might have to step back from that, you know. But
Okay.
yeah. Can you imagine that? Like, oh, he's making a war film after making some coming of age gay high school film. Like, never happened. Well, mind blowing.
Hey, it could be interesting.
Okay. And that, you know, yeah, now I'm like, somebody hit me up with these historical dramas. Come on, bring them in. I'd love to tell it now. It's like war film. Can you imagine gay war? Insane.
Well, I mean, look, you have all of them people on the front line, right?
It's true.
And you're not gonna go home anytime soon. Like, who knows what's going down? You know what I mean?
It's true. Yeah, anyone out there, open to it. Open to it. As much as I say no, I'm an open book. Give it to me, and I'm about it. You'll see. You never know what can happen.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, storytelling's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing, really, of what places you can go, right? And I think what you perceive you can do, because there's definitely points in time where you think, I think this is my limit, right? I think this is all I can say on something. And then, you discover that, oh, actually, I could do it in this way. I could approach things like this, right? I want to say this about that topic. So it can all change.
Yeah, I'm open to it.
Okay. Well, we will keep an eye out to see what's coming next from Alexander Justin Gonzales, fan.
I
So,
appreciate it.
Mean Boys, when is this
A
dropping to the
release.
world?
Yeah, it comes out on Halloween. This Halloween, we are out on Prime Video and a lot of other streaming platforms. So make sure to check it there. Our biggest is Prime, of course. We always push Prime, but all of them, we'll be on a few platforms. So super excited to see it on our Halloween release. So it's a psychological horror thriller. So we're excited to have the world see it. It's going to be exciting.
Awesome. Awesome. Like, why Halloween? How did you
So when we
choose?
we thought about that, we were like, okay, when do we want to release this? And there was, for me, I do feel it is a silent horror. It is it's a modern day silent horror because you see these levels of like modern day like terrorists almost like that's a strong word, but for high school kids who are just so
Mm,
brutally rude, like, and mean. Like we wanted to show that it is a Halloween release. This is just as scary as Halloween, or as this, like scary, pivotal, huge horror films.
yeah.
But it's a silent horror. It's one
Okay.
of those things where you're like, oh. So we were like, yeah, I think Halloween would be a good time.
Okay. All right. Well, people aren't going to forget that date. So, Halloween is marked down in the calendar.
Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
love that.
So, how can people, keep track of you, the film, and everything else?
Yeah, so you can follow me on social media. My business on social media on Instagram is COA Pictures Co. And you can also follow me at I am Justin Gonzales, who will be sharing all of that as well as on TikTok, COA Pictures. So, yeah, excited to be pushing it out there and releasing our work.
And yeah, so you're shooting a comedy next. So, do
Yeah,
you?
it's a little bit it's a queer comedy, but it does have levels that are dark and, a little bit, in the vein of Mean Boys, coming of age. So, Yeah, you'll see a different spin of it, a different spin on COA. We're not just all dark comedy. It's a dark comedy, I guess, but it's a little bit more comedic focused.
Okay. All right. So we got Mean Boys this Halloween, and will we have something next year? Is that the hope?
Possibly by the end of next year, but probably the following year,
Okay.
realistically, post can take a minute sometimes. It
Yeah.
depends. It
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
But watch my other films. They're on other platforms. Guadalajara, Children of the Cloth, both on Prime Video, and most streaming platforms.
Okay. And can people find links to those on your website? So if
Of course.
I've watched Mean Boys, I'm like, I need more from Alexander. Where do I find that? So if I go to your website, I can find all your other
100%. If you go coapictures.com, you'll see all the different links of our films, from Mean Boys to Children to Guadalajara, and they'll take you right to Prime and other platforms where you can rent or buy.
Okay. And are these geo-locked? Because sometimes shit gets really. This is the frustrating thing, man. Sometimes you have these conversations with people and you'll be like, oh man, yeah, can't wait to see. And then you find it's not released in the UK, it's only in the States, right?
No, ours is in the UK for sure. We're really lucky where we're on Tubi, we're on a lot of different platforms where we even access it where you can watch it for free if you'd like, and it is for everybody. So,
okay.
I think there are some countries we're not at yet. Like I don't think we're in Japan yet. I don't think we're in certain parts of the UK. I know we're in the UK, but we're not in. I don't think we're in Germany. But we're, you know what? Yeah, maybe. But I'd have to recheck on all of those. But yeah, we're in certain places. But for sure, the UK.
Okay. Well, as
Definitely.
long as you're in the UK, I don't care about all the others. You know.
I love that. Like, as long as it's there, it's okay.
That's what counts, man. That's what counts. You know what I mean?
No, I love London. I love the UK. It's the very best.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad the films are out there and people can you know what I mean? There's a place where people can find your work. So that is all good. So people, make sure you go follow Alexander on all the socials and the production company, COA. Mark Halloween down in the calendar because that's when Mean Boys is dropping. And we'll wait with bated breath for the next joint.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, Alex, this has been great. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us today.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And when you're ready to talk about the comedy and other things, please stop by and we will have another conversation.
I would love it. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Splendid, man. All right. You enjoy the rest of your day, man. Thank you for stopping by.
You as well. Thank you so much.
All right, man.